seafood is becoming more and more popular, and we've really come to the point where humans are outstripping, the demand for seafood is outstripping its supply. We used to view the oceans as an inexhaustible resource, but we now know clearly that that's not true, that humans clearly have the capacity to catch more fish out of the sea than the sea can possibly supply. So now it's incumbent upon us to learn how to fish sustainably, to raise seafood through aquaculture programs sustainably, and to learn which seafood choices are sustainable, and to choose those and to stay away from those that are being fished to depletion. As an institution, we've been working hard to go beyond just being a display institution where people come in and see beautiful fish behind glass. We wanted to really create a much more educational and conservation-minded experience for our visitors. And we have many programs on the ground. I work in the conservation department and do restoration work out in the field. In this program, we've been inviting sort of celebrity chefs from the area into the aquarium to do sustainable seafood dinners. So these are dinners that are based on sustainably sourced seafood, and we try and provide a great experience, a terrific meal, and some good information about how our visitors can choose better, more sustainably sourced seafood when they go out into the world and go to restaurants, go to fish markets, and are choosing seafood for themselves.
Well, the menu tonight, I'm very excited about it because it's one of my favorite foods that I was introduced to when I was a little kid. Here in Maryland, it's oysters, and the Chesapeake Bay has been under a lot of stress throughout my lifetime, and obviously the oyster industry has suffered quite a bit. But there's some exciting new things that are coming on board, and there's a couple companies that we work with at Dogwood that are sustainable aquaculture, that raise native Chesapeake oysters. One of them is Chop Tank Sweets Company, Marinetics, and the other is the Rappahannock River oyster. And they have 4 different oysters that they cultivate, and we're going to be featuring them tonight in the menu. But some of them are old family recipes, some of them are new creations, and some are the first time out of the gate tonight, so we'll see how it goes. In my training over the last 20 years, I've had the opportunity to work with some great chefs, and I've learned that great cuisine starts with great products, and great products only come from people that are raising them responsibly in a natural environment, and that's when you're going to get your most flavorful, best quality, and sustainable foods. So that's really sustainability is the foundation of what we do at Dogwood. We work very closely with local farmers. We source our seafood from sustainable sources because as the consumer and as chefs, we are the people that can make change in the business. And if we vote with our dollars, then we can change how people do business. People, a lot of times, we do a lot of work with local farmers almost exclusively in the summertime. And people ask, why do you have West Coast fish on your menu? And we say because they manage their fisheries very well. The product is excellent and they're very sustainable. The East Coast is lagging them. So we source our products from where we can find them responsibly raised. They're coming from an environment that's clean and fresh, and the populations are being repopulated. These 2 companies, Marinetics and Rappahannock River Oyster, are really at the forefront in the Chesapeake effort to repopulate oysters. Whatever they don't sell when they spawn, it goes back into the repopulation effort throughout the Chesapeake. So hopefully, as conditions improve, our oyster population improves too.
And I know some people are always a little alarmed by the idea of eating seafood at an aquarium. But I want to assure you that no exhibits were harmed in the making of our dinner this evening.
I grew up in Maryland. I consider myself a Marylander, even though my family is a transplant from the Midwest, but this is really all I know. And one of my favorite foods that I was introduced to very early are oysters. And I was introduced, surprisingly enough, by my dad, who was coming off of a Iowa farm, you know, out of the Army, and out of college, brought him here to Baltimore to work for AT&T. But you know, this Iowa farmer is the guy who got me hooked on oysters. My dad and I would schlep off a dozen oysters to see what we could do with them. So that led to a lot of fun family experiences. You know, we didn't know how to open an oyster. I can remember my dad and I with a hammer and a screwdriver in the front yard trying to open an oyster and not being very successful. You know, and you watch these guys and, you know, show us how to open an oyster. He'd put it in the back and open it right up, and you're like, how did he do that? It's impossible. So I actually really couldn't open an oyster properly until I became a chef 20 years later. And I still am not as good as those guys that do it all the time. But it's a wonderful food. It's one of those things that is very unique. Food, flavor, and memories. It stirs up a lot of memories from the past. And you know, the first time that you tried an oyster, or the time you had the best oyster, or the last time you had the best oyster. I can still remember the best oyster I had this year. It was in Seattle at the LA Bay Oyster House. And there's a good amount of butter in here. We're going to sweat vegetables. Butter is good in this. My dad made this recipe by simply doing milk, butter, black pepper, and oysters. And that was it. And that's one of the fondest memories I've had of oysters in my childhood.
Two facilities as the aquarium. Harbor place for sale.
No, not out.
A little warmer than out here.
Come with me, my love, to the sea of love. I want to tell you how much I love you. Do you remember when we met? That's the day I knew